Before you were born, your soul already knew this date mattered. February 1st, 2026. The universe marked it somewhere deep inside the architecture of your destiny. And now, as 5 planets pile into Aquarius and the full snow moon blazes at 13 degrees Leo, that cosmic checkpoint is finally here. You did not stumble onto this. You were pulled. The energy moving through the sky right now is not subtle. It is not a whisper. It is a freight train of transformation slamming into the most powerful axis in the zodiac. And if you have been feeling like something enormous is about to crack open inside you, if there has been this strange electric pressure building behind your ribs for days, then your intuition has been reading the sky before your mind caught up. This is the moment it all makes sense. Tonight, the full moon reaches its peak at 13 degrees, Leo at 5:09 p.m. Eastern, and it is not just any full moon. It is the last lunation before the February 17 solar eclipse rewrites the collective timeline. This means tonight is the final release window of the current cycle, the last cosmic permission slip your soul will receive before the universe slams the door on the old chapter and forces you through a new one. And the reason it hits so hard is because across the sky from this blazing Leo moon sits an Aquarius stellium, unlike anything we have seen. 5 planets, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars and Pluto, all stacked in the water bearer, pulling your emotional world in one direction while your rational mind tries to make sense of it in another. That tension, that beautiful, agonizing tension, is not chaos. It is the universe choosing you for a transformation that most people will sleep right through. You can feel it, can't you? That sensation somewhere between your chest and your throat, like something is trying to surface. Like a truth you have been carrying for months is finally pushing through the surface of your consciousness. That is this full moon doing exactly what it was designed to do. And by the end of what I am about to share with you, you will understand not just what is happening in the cosmos tonight, but what it is specifically doing to your life, your heart, and the version of you that is about to be born from this. Before we go deeper into this cosmic shift, if you are feeling this energy already, leave a like and subscribe so the universe knows you are ready for these activations. And drop a comment saying I claim this final release to lock in this frequency. Let us dive in. Let me take you inside what is actually happening in the sky tonight, because this is not a single event. This is a convergence, a rare stacking of cosmic forces that only lines up when the universe is preparing something significant. The Sun has been in Aquarius since January 19th, and over the past 2 weeks, it has been joined by Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Pluto, all crowding into that same sign, creating what astrologers call a stellium. A stellium is when 5 or more planets occupy the same sign at the same time, and it functions like a magnifying glass for that sign's energy. Aquarius governs innovation, collective consciousness, revolution, detachment, and the future. When you stack 5 planets there, you are essentially flooding the entire sky with that frequency. The universe is not asking you to evolve, it is demanding it. Now here is what makes this particular stellium so layered. Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, transformation so deep it rewrites your very identity, is sitting at approximately 3 to 4 degrees Aquarius. Mars, the planet of action, drive and raw courage, is at around 5 to 6 degrees right next to it. These two just completed a conjunction on January 27th, just 5 days before this full moon, and that combination is still reverberating through the collective field. Mars conjunct Pluto does not whisper, it detonates. It is the energy of forced metamorphosis, of being pushed so hard through a doorway that you cannot go back the way you came. If you have felt an almost violent sense of urgency these past several days, a feeling like you absolutely cannot stay where you are, that is Mars and Pluto finishing their work in Aquarius and handing the baton directly to this full moon. Venus sits higher in Aquarius, around 16 to 17 degrees close to Mercury, which is at approximately the same range. Venus here is not the soft romantic Venus you might associate with love poetry and candlelit dinners. Venus in Aquarius is futuristic, detached, almost revolutionary in how it redefines connection. It is asking you to release the idea that love has to look a certain way, that intimacy has to follow a script someone else wrote for you. Mercury nearby amplifies that message through communication, through the way you speak about yourself, the way you share your truth with the world. Together, they are rewriting the language of your heart. But the real magic of tonight, the reason this full moon hits on a completely different frequency than the others, is what is happening with the outer planets. Neptune entered Aries just 6 days ago, on January 26th, beginning a journey it will not complete until 2038 or 2039. This is a generational shift. Neptune has not been in Aries for over a century, and when it arrives at the very first degree of this sign, the sign of the pioneer, the warrior, the one who acts before the world catches up, it signals something enormous. Neptune at 0 degrees Aries is sitting at what astrologers call a world point, one of the most powerful threshold degrees in the entire zodiac. World points are the entry gates of the cardinal signs, the degrees where new cycles are born, and, having Neptune, the planet of dreams, spirituality, illusion, and transcendence, planted directly on one of them, means that the collective is entering an era where spiritual vision is no longer passive. It must be put into action. Your dreams are no longer allowed to stay dreams. The universe is demanding that you bridge the gap between what you imagine and what you actually do. And Pluto, still in Aquarius, is forming an exact sextile to Neptune right now. A sextile is a 60-degree aspect, a gateway of opportunity, a channel through which energy flows with remarkable ease. Pluto in Aquarius sextile, Neptune in Aries, means that the transformation happening inside you is being directly fed by a new current of spiritual courage, a willingness to act on your dreams rather than simply dream them. The universe is not just showing you a vision of who you could become, it is handing you the ignition switch. This sextile is creating a direct pipeline between Pluto's power of total identity dissolution and Neptune's power of spiritual rebirth. And tonight's full moon is opening that pipeline wider than it has been since these planets moved into position. Pluto is also forming a trine to Uranus, which is at 27 degrees Taurus and about to station direct in just 2 days. A trine is the most harmonious aspect in astrology, a 120-degree flow of energy that requires almost nothing from you except openness. Pluto trine. Uranus means the revolutionary. Identity-shifting energy of Pluto is being amplified through Uranus, the planet of sudden awakening, innovation, and liberation. Something is being unlocked in you right now that has been dormant, and the trine ensures that the unlocking happens not through struggle, but through a sudden, almost effortless shift in perspective. You may not even register the shift until tomorrow or the day after, when you realize that a belief you held for years simply no longer feels true. That is Uranus doing its quiet, precise work under the cover of this full moon. Mercury in Aquarius is also squaring Uranus in Taurus right now, and while a square is typically associated with tension, in this context it is doing something far more interesting than simply creating friction. It is giving you permission to change your mind, to say something you have been swallowing, to redirect a conversation, a plan, or even an entire life trajectory. Mercury square, Uranus is the aspect of the radical rethink, and with Uranus about to station direct, that rethink is not just available to you. It is being actively encouraged by the cosmos. If something has been nagging at the back of your consciousness, if there is a thought you keep pushing away because it feels too big or too disruptive, tonight is when you let it come through. Saturn is sitting at approximately 28 to 29 degrees Pisces, forming a sextile to Uranus as well, and this adds a layer of structure to the otherwise chaotic energy of the evening. Saturn in Pisces is about to leave that sign on February 13th and enter Aries, where it will meet Neptune for a historic conjunction on February 20th. But right now, in its final days in Pisces, Saturn is offering a quiet gift. It is asking you to finish something, to close a loop, to honor the lessons of the past 3 years that Saturn spent moving through Pisces, and to do so with grace rather than resistance. The sextile to Uranus means that this closing is not heavy or burdensome. It is almost natural, like a season simply ending and the next one beginning without drama. And then there is Jupiter, retrograde at approximately 17 degrees Cancer, sitting in the sky and watching all of this unfold. Jupiter retrograde is not diminished, it is internalized. The planet of expansion, abundance, and spiritual growth is turned inward, which means that any growth happening right now is not external. It is not about acquiring more, it is about deepening what you already carry. Jupiter in Cancer is exalted, meaning it operates at its highest possible frequency, and its retrograde placement means that tonight's full moon is being supported by an internal expansion that you may not even consciously recognize yet. Jupiter in Cancer governs emotional nourishment, family bonds, the feeling of being held and protected by something larger than yourself. When Jupiter is retrograde here, it is asking you to go back inside and nourish yourself, to feed your own emotional roots before you try to grow outward. You are becoming more than you were 6 weeks ago. You just have not caught up to it with your waking mind. And the truth is, you do not need to catch up consciously for the growth to be real. Jupiter is doing its work whether you feel it or not. Trust the process. The expansion is already underway. If you are a Leo, tonight the full moon is landing directly in your solar or lunar territory, and the impact is immediate and deeply personal. The moon at 13 degrees Leo is illuminating everything you have kept in shadow, every truth about yourself that you have been performing rather than feeling, every desire you have buried under the weight of what other people expect from you. Leo is the sign of the heart, of creative expression, of sovereignty, and this full moon is demanding that you step into that sovereignty fully, not as a performance, but as an embodied reality. The Aquarius stellium opposing you is not your enemy here, it is your mirror. It is showing you that the version of yourself you have been projecting to the collective, the curated, careful version, does not match the raw, magnetic truth of who you actually are. The universe is asking you to close that gap tonight. You may feel a wave of emotion that surprises you, something cracking open behind your sternum that you have been holding shut for longer than you realized. That is not weakness, that is the Leo heart finally being given permission to feel at full volume. What has been draining you is the distance between your public self and your private soul. Release what does not serve the real you and watch how immediately the energy shifts. Over the next 2 weeks before the eclipse arrives, you will feel a new kind of confidence settling in, not the performative confidence Leo sometimes defaults to, but a quieter, deeper knowing that you are exactly who you are meant to be. If you are an Aquarius, you are living inside this stellium, and that means the pressure you have been feeling is not something happening to you from the outside. It is happening from within. 5 planets in your sign are rewriting your identity at a cellular level. Pluto alone in Aquarius is a generational transit that will not be complete for 2 decades, and Mars just detonated next to it 5 days ago. You are being asked to shed a version of yourself that once felt like protection, but now feels like a cage. The full moon in Leo is not just the opposite sign from you, it is showing you what your freed self looks like. Courageous, heart-led, unapologetically alive. You may have been feeling disconnected from your own emotions lately, which is very on brand for Aquarius, but is being amplified right now by the sheer volume of planetary energy in your sign. The detachment you've been defaulting to is not serving you at this moment. The universe is asking you to come back into your body, back into your heart, back into the parts of yourself that feel rather than only think. The transformation is not comfortable, but it is not optional either. Lean into it. The discomfort you feel is not failure. It is the sound of old architecture coming down to make room for something extraordinary. By the time the February 17 eclipse arrives in your sign, you will be in a completely different energetic position than you are tonight. That is the point. You are being prepared. If you are a Taurus, Uranus has been in your sign for years now, and in 2 days it is going to station direct, which means the disruption, the unexpected shifts, the shake-ups in your foundations, they are about to accelerate rather than pause. But here is the gift inside that upheaval. Pluto is forming the trine to Uranus right now, and that means the transformation happening in your life is being carried on a current of ease rather than resistance. Tonight's full moon is your invitation to stop fighting the changes and start surfing them. Something that once felt like solid ground is dissolving, yes, but what is underneath is stronger. You may have been experiencing this as a feeling of rootlessness, as if the things that once made you feel safe and anchored are no longer doing their job. That feeling is accurate, and it is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that you are outgrowing your container. Saturn is also sextiling Uranus from Pisces, adding a layer of structure to the revolution. This is not chaos. This is a controlled detonation, and you are being asked to trust the blueprint even when you cannot see the finished building yet. What is being built for you is more stable than what is being dismantled. Hold that truth close tonight. If you are a Scorpio, you are sitting on the fixed sign axis with Leo, and the full moon is pulling at your depths tonight. Scorpio is the sign of transformation, of emotional alchemy, of seeing what others refuse to look at. The stellium in Aquarius is activating your relationship to the collective, to community, to the way you plug into something larger than your own private world. But the Leo moon is reminding you that you cannot pour from an empty vessel. Before you transform the world around you, you must complete the transformation happening inside you. Tonight is a night for deep emotional honesty, the kind that hurts a little, the kind that also sets something free. Write it down, speak it out loud, let it leave your body. The Scorpio in you already knows what needs to go. The only question is whether you are finally ready to let it. If you are a Cancer, Jupiter has been sitting in your sign for months now, retrograde and deeply internalized, and tonight it is doing something specific for you. The full moon in Leo is landing in your second house, the house of self-worth, money, and the things you hold on to for a sense of security. And the Aquarius stellium is sitting in your eighth house, the house of transformation, shared resources, and the kind of change that strips you down to bone. That is a powerful axis of confrontation, and tonight it is asking you a very direct question. Are you measuring your value by what you have accumulated, or by who you are becoming? The answer matters more right now than it probably has in years. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer is amplifying your emotional sensitivity, and with Neptune fresh in Aries and forming that sextile to Pluto, the spiritual underpinning of this question is unmistakable. This is not about money, though money may be involved. This is about whether you're willing to let go of the things that once made you feel safe, so that a deeper kind of security can take their place. Cancer is the sign of protection, of the shell, of the instinct to hold close what matters most. But sometimes the shell becomes the prison, and the very things you clung to for comfort are the things keeping you small. Tonight, the universe is gently, persistently knocking on that shell. You do not have to shatter it all at once. You simply have to crack it open enough to let the light in. Jupiter is right there with you, retrograde and watching, and it is promising you that what you find on the other side of this release is worth more than anything you are being asked to set down. Now, here is what you need to do with the energy that is moving through tonight, because a full moon is not just a moment of awareness. It is an action point. This is a release moon, which means it is designed for letting go, not for manifesting or setting intentions. The universe is clearing space, and your job is to cooperate with that clearing rather than resist it. Take a few minutes tonight, ideally when the moon is at its peak around 5009 p.m. Eastern Time, and sit quietly. You do not need a ritual for this. You do not need candles or crystals, though if those things help you drop into your body, use them. What you need is honesty. Think about what has been draining you. Think about what relationship, what pattern, what belief, what version of yourself no longer fits the life you are being pulled toward. And then, consciously, deliberately, let it go. You can write it on paper and burn it. You can speak it aloud into the night air. You can simply hold it in your awareness and say internally or externally, I release this. The full moon does the rest. You may also notice physical symptoms tonight that feel strange or sudden, and they are worth paying attention to rather than dismissing. Pressure behind the eyes or in the sinuses can be your nervous system processing the shift in collective energy that the stellium is generating. A tightness in the chest that is not anxiety, but feels like something expanding faster than your ribcage can keep up with. That is the Leo moon pulling your heart open. Insomnia or vivid dreaming is extremely common on full moon nights, and tonight it will likely be amplified by the intensity of the outer planet aspects. If you cannot sleep, do not fight it. Your subconscious is working. It is sorting, releasing, and reorganizing things you may not even be aware of on a waking level. Whatever comes up in your dreams tonight, write it down before you forget. The energy moving through the sky is already activating the communication centers of your psyche, and those dreams may carry messages that become relevant in the days ahead. Also be intentional about the 48 hours that follow the full moon, not just the night itself. The release energy does not shut off the moment the moon begins to wane. It intensifies over the next 2 days, which means that realizations, emotions, and even external events connected to what you released may continue to surface through Tuesday and into Wednesday. This is normal. This is the clearing in action. Do not assume that because nothing dramatic happened the night of the full moon that nothing is changing. Some of the most profound shifts happen in the quiet aftermath, in the small moments where you suddenly realize a thought that once consumed you has simply stopped, or a person you were entangled with has drifted away without confrontation, or a decision you have been agonizing over suddenly feels obvious. There is something else worth paying attention to tonight, and it is the fact that this is the final full moon of the current eclipse cycle. The Virgo and Pisces eclipses that have been reshaping your life over the past year and a half are wrapping up. Whatever themes those eclipses brought into your awareness, whatever doors opened or closed, whatever truths surfaced that you could not unsee, this is the last lunation in which you can consciously process and integrate those lessons before the cycle shifts. On February 17th, a solar eclipse in Aquarius opens an entirely new chapter, and that eclipse will be fueled by the very same stellium that is lighting up the sky tonight. So tonight is not just a release, it is a preparation. You are being asked to get your emotional house in order before a much larger wave arrives. Pay attention to what you dream tonight, and pay attention to what surfaces in your emotions over the next 24 to 48 hours. The full moon does not just illuminate the sky, it illuminates your psyche. Feelings that have been buried may rise without warning. Old memories may replay with new clarity. People you have not thought about in a long time may suddenly appear in your mind or even in your life. None of this is random. The universe is showing you the unfinished threads that need to be tied before the eclipse season begins. Some of those threads will resolve quietly on their own, simply because you are now aware of them. Others will require you to take a conscious step, to have a conversation, to make a choice, to close a door with intention rather than letting it hang open. Either way, the awareness itself is powerful. You are not a passive observer of this process. You are an active participant in your own awakening. And finally, understand why your soul chose to be alive for this particular convergence. 5 planets in Aquarius, a full moon in Leo at the peak of its power, 3 outer planets forming harmonious aspects with each other, Neptune at a world point, and all of this happening in the final days before an eclipse that will open a brand new axis of transformation. This is not a casual cosmic moment, this is a checkpoint. The universe is testing whether you are willing to release what no longer serves you when the release feels uncomfortable, whether you are willing to trust the pull of your own intuition even when your mind is still catching up, whether you are willing to let yourself be remade. You have been preparing for this, whether you knew it or not. Every difficult season, every heartbreak, every moment of confusion that felt like it would never resolve, it was all shaping you into someone capable of walking through this portal with your eyes open. But there is a layer beneath even that, and it is the one your soul is most interested in tonight. The Leo and Aquarius axis is not just about personal expression versus collective purpose. It is about the tension between the individual heart and the larger pattern of evolution. Leo wants to burn bright. Aquarius wants to change the world. Tonight, the universe is telling you that those two drives are not in opposition. They are the same impulse, wearing different masks. The fire in your chest, the thing that makes you feel most alive, is not separate from the work you are meant to do in the world. It is the fuel for it. Your authentic self, the version of you that the Leo moon is illuminating right now, is not a distraction from your purpose. It is your purpose. When you let yourself shine, you give everyone around you permission to do the same. That is how the Aquarius stellium actually fulfills its promise of collective evolution. Not through sacrifice of the self, but through the radical act of becoming fully, unapologetically yourself. This is also a moment of karmic closure on a scale that goes beyond this single lifetime. The Virgo and Pisces eclipse cycle that is ending was doing work on your ancestral line, on patterns that have been running through your family for generations, sometimes centuries. Tonight, as this cycle prepares to close, you are being given one final opportunity to consciously release those inherited wounds. You may not know the specifics. You may not need to. Sometimes the release happens simply because you are aware that something old is passing through you, and you choose, in this single moment, not to hold it, not to pass it on. That choice, made quietly, in the dark, under a full moon, is one of the most powerful things a human being can do. It does not make the news. It does not even feel like much in the moment. But on the level of your soul's blueprint, it reshapes everything that comes after. The consciousness upgrade happening tonight is not something you will feel as a dramatic awakening, at least not for most people. It is subtler than that. It is a recalibration. Your nervous system is adjusting to a frequency it has not operated at before, and that adjustment takes time. Over the coming weeks and months, as the eclipse season unfolds, and as Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto continue their monumental work in the cardinal and fixed signs, you will notice that your relationship to fear has shifted. Things that once paralyzed you will feel manageable. Truths you once avoided will feel necessary to speak. People who once drained you will feel distant, not because you push them away, but because your frequency simply no longer matches theirs. This is not loss. This is alignment. And it is the long-term gift of a night like tonight, one where the universe stacks its forces and says, clearly, unmistakably, you are ready for the next version of yourself. As this full moon reaches its zenith tonight and the snow moon light pours across the sky, know that you are exactly where you are meant to be. The release you make tonight will not feel dramatic. It will feel quiet, almost anticlimactic, like setting down something you did not realize you had been carrying for so long. And then, in the days that follow, as the eclipse approaches and the new cycle begins to take shape, you will feel the difference. Not as a sudden explosion of change, but as a subtle, unmistakable lightness. A sense that the path ahead is clearer than it was this morning. That is the gift of the last full moon before an eclipse. It does not transform you all at once. It gives you permission to transform yourself quietly, honestly, on your own terms, before the universe does it for you on a much larger scale. Trust what you feel tonight. Trust the release. And trust that the version of you emerging from this is the one your soul has been waiting for. If this message resonated at a soul level, leave a like and subscribe, and drop "I claim this final release" in the comments to anchor this energy into your reality. The portal is open, the clearing has begun, and the eclipse is coming. You are ready.